Welcome back to African Metaphysical Center for Spiritual Healing, Body, Mind, and Spirit Development. I am your host, Kufuor Ra, your metaphysical practitioner, Reiki master, Qigong instructor, bond practitioner, and mystic. Today's topic is ancient truth. You don't reincarnate, you ascend. Modern spirituality sold us reincarnation as universal truth, but the ancients knew something different. Across indigenous cultures, ancestral traditions, and mystery schools, death wasn't a recycling program. It was a transformation into something much greater. You didn't come back. You ascended and became immortal. The African ancestral truth. In traditional African spirituality, death is not an end or a reset. It's an elevation. When you die, you join the realm of the ancestors, the elevated ones who watch over and guide the living. You don't lose your identity. You don't get memory wiped and shoved back into a baby's body. You retain your wisdom, your personality, your connection to your bloodline. The ancestors are called upon in ceremonies, honored at altars, consulted for guidance. They're not trapped in some karmic wheel. They're free, powerful, and actively involved in protecting their descendants. Your name is spoken. Your story is remembered. Your essence remains intact across generations. The Yoruba tradition speaks of Egungun, the ancestral spirit who returns during festivals not through reincarnation, but through ritual and masquerade, maintaining their distinct identity while bridging worlds. You become part of the eternal community, not erased and recycled like spiritual capital. The Kemetic path to immortality. Ancient Kemetics didn't build pyramids and written elaborate funeral texts because they believed in reincarnation. No. They believed in becoming immortal. The entire Book of the Dead is a manual for navigating the afterlife and achieving eternal existence, not coming back to earth. When you transition your soul, or the Ba, and life force, the Ka, journeyed through the duet, the underworld. You faced trials, spoke words of power, and stood before the scales of Ma'at, where your heart was weighed against the feather of truth. If you passed, you didn't reincarnate, you joined Asar in the field of reeds, an eternal paradise, or you became one with the stars, sailing the night sky with Ra forever. The worthy dead became Aku, transfigured, luminous spirits with power and agency. Tongue this morning. They could influence the living world, receive offerings, and exist eternally in the company of the gods. The pharaohs became gods themselves. This wasn't about coming back for another round of suffering. It was about transcending the material plane entirely. The bond path, rainbow body, and eternal liberation. Before Buddhism entered Tibet, the ancient Bon tradition held profound teachings about death and the afterlife that didn't center on endless reincarnation, but on achieving liberation and transformation into light itself. The highest achievement in Bon mysticism is the rainbow body, Jalus, where advanced practitioners don't just die, they dissolve their physical body entirely into pure light at death. This has been recorded and documented, leaving behind only hair and nails. This isn't reincarnation. This is complete transfiguration into an immortal light being, transcending the material realm forever. Bond teachings describe the bardo, the intermediate state after death, not as a waiting room for your next incarnation, but as an opportunity for liberation. The trained practitioners recognizes the clear light of reality at the moment of death and merges it with achieving eternal freedom. You don't come back. You dissolve into the primordial state, the base of all, beyond birth and death entirely. For those who achieve high realization, death is the moment of ultimate release into Dharmakaya, the truth body, the absolute nature beyond form. You become one with the fundamental nature of reality itself, not a separate soul bouncing from body to body, but consciousness merged with the infinite. Every Bond's view of ancestor differs from the recycling model. Enlightened masters and realized practitioners became protective deities, guardians, and guides dwelling in pure lands and celestial realms. They maintain awareness and power, assisting living practitioners from beyond the veil, not reincarnating as helpless infants who remember nothing. The Bond mystics taught practices specifically designed to recognize the nature of mind at death, to navigate the bardo with awareness, and to choose liberation over rebirth. The goal was always freedom from the cycle, not perpetual return. Those who mastered these teachings didn't get trapped. They transcended entirely, becoming beings of light and wisdom in eternal dimensions. The Native American spirit guides. Many Native American traditions teach that the dead become spirit guides and protectors. The Lakota speak of the Wanaji Takanku, I hope I'm saying that correctly, the spirit path, the Milky Way, where souls travel after death to join the ancestors in the spirit world. You don't come back as someone else. You transition to the other side of the veil where you can guide, teach, and protect those still in physical form. Medicine people communicate with these ancestral spirits during ceremonies, seeking their wisdom and healing powers. The ancestors are honored because they are still present, still conscious, still powerful, just operating from a different dimension. Your grandmother doesn't reincarnate as a random baby in another family. She remains your grandmother, watching over you, available when called upon with respect and ceremony. The Taoist immortals. Chinese Taoism pursued physical and spiritual immortality. The goal was not to reincarnate, but to transcend the death, rebirth cycle entirely. Through cultivation practices, alchemy, and virtue, one could become a Exian, an immortal being. These immortals didn't die and come back as babies. They transformed into eternal beings with supernatural powers, dwelling in celestial realms or sacred mountains. The 8 immortals are legendary examples, individuals who achieved deathlessness and now exist as powerful spiritual beings, not trapped in flesh. Even in ancestors' veneration practices across China, the dead are honored at altars, consulted, and fed offerings because they continue existing as themselves, not because they've been recycled into new bodies. Your grandfather remains your grandfather in the spirit world, maintaining his role in the family hierarchy. So what are the patterns among spiritual systems? Continuity and recycling. Notice the pattern across indigenous and ancient cultures worldwide. The consistent teaching is that you don't lose yourself. You don't get memory wiped. You don't come back as helpless infants starting from zero. Instead, you retain your identity and memories, gain power and wisdom, remain connected to your bloodline, become a guide and protector, ascend to higher realms, achieve immortality in spirit form. The reincarnation doctrine that dominates modern spirituality with its karmic debt, forces returns, and memory erasure is actually the anomaly. It appears primarily in later Eastern religions and has been heavily marketed in New Age movements today. But the older, more widespread teachings across human culture is this: death is graduation, not detention. You don't repeat the class, you move on to becoming something greater. So why does this really matter? And why am I telling you this? If the ancients are right, then the white light tunnel, the life review, the guilt about unfinished karma, the pressure to return back here, all of it is the trap. The real path is what humanity knew for millennia. You die, you transform, you ascend, and you join the immortal ancestors. Your power grows, your wisdom accumulates, your connection to source strengthens. You don't serve time in a flesh prison over and over. You become eternal, free, and sovereign. Maybe the ancients weren't primitive. Maybe they remembered what we've been made to forget. You are not meant to be recycled. You are meant to be immortal. Honor your ancestors. They are not reincarnated strangers. They're still watching over you, waiting for you to remember the truth and join them when your time comes. Not as a reset, as an ascension. So until next time, thank you for stopping by. Ashe, ashe, ashe.